Hi, my name is Kat, and I did the Psalm 56 outline for my presentation. So, I'm going to walk through how I structured my mem. So, how did you land on your particular structure of the text? Well, I opened the Word and spent time reading over it and just prayed and asked Jesus how He wanted me to lay this out. And so, as I was looking at it, I read through a commentary about how in 1 Samuel 21:10, David is running from Saul, and he ends up in the cave at Gath, and is just fearful of being persecuted by these enemies. And so he's crying out to the Lord in fear, and also praising the Lord for who He is. And so I saw that is just David looking for trust. Oh, and he's also seeking justice on his enemies, because there is implications in this psalm. And so I just saw that trust was really what David is going for. Like, he's trusting the Lord to do all of these things, to deal with his enemies justly, to take the fear that he feels. And also, he trusts God because he sees that He is good, and he is trusting that He is good, and that He's going to bring him through this time of persecution. And so I set up my mem to be one just about trust. And so my title is Trusting God, and my mit statement is David trusts God even though his flesh wants him to be fearful. So I have 4 points. I had 5, and then after revising it and looking through it, I saw that it needed to be 4. So I broke it up into verses 1 through 2, 3 through 4, 5 through 8, and 9 through 13. So God is trustworthy, so David can tell him about those who are hurting him. God is trustworthy, enabling David to remind his heart that there is no reason to fear, because he knows God. God is trustworthy, so David is able to tell God that he is being attacked, and asks the Lord to bring justice on his situation. And God is trustworthy, allowing David to be thankful for the love and protection God has for him. And then, how did your main points lead you to your mit statement? I just told you that. How did your mit bring you to the message? Okay, so I again prayed over what I wanted to say and how I had written my mit, and I really look into the mem is journaling. I'm really into journaling, that just in my time with the Lord, and so I kind of look at that as like a general journal, and like if I were to teach someone else, how would I plan it out if I were to journal it. And so I just looked at that. So my mem title is My Heart Can Trust God. And it was cool because during this outline, I was going through a season of just really needing to remember to trust who Jesus is, and that He is who He says He is. And so a lot of this was really preaching to the choir, just to remind myself. And so it's just cool how Jesus works in that way. My mem statement is, because God can be trusted, we are able to give Him our hearts, even when fear is surrounding us. And then my 4 points are, because God is worthy of our trust, we are able to tell Him about those who try to persecute us. Because we serve a trustworthy God, we don't have to live in fear of the world and things that can hurt us. Since God can be trusted, we can tell Him how people have wronged us, and know that justice will be sought out by the Lord. And 4, our hearts can trust that God is good, so we can be thankful that He protects us. And then how does this text apply practically? I think this text applies practically because the Lord is worthy of our trust. He is the only one we can trust. Ultimately, humans are going to fail us, even the ones who we love most. The Lord is the only one who holds up His end and will never fail us, and that is just beautiful. And so David saw that, and as Jesus came on the scene, he also proved to be trustworthy. So we, as New Testament believers, can believe that too. So my practical applications are, don't be afraid to tell God who is seeking to wrong you. He wants to know your heart. Living in fear is not of the Lord and will only pull you from His character. From His will. Remember that the justice of God is an attribute of His character, which is loving. And 4 is, God is good even when our lives are not, but remember the earth will only be a memory 10,000 years from now.